Streaming live. All right. Hey, guys, we are back for the final show of the evening. And here I am driving the Ferrari again. Producer Brian is over there on the couch, sick. And so he's letting me do the producer duties, which is kind of cool. And so our next guest is McMinnville High School alumni, Brad Davidson. And Brad, man, you got a lot of things going on, Brad. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
So I was chatting with Joe Migloretto last night, and
one of my favorite coaches of all time. I
was trying to get him to give me a Brad Davidson story, and he could not think of one, which kind of led me to the question. I'm like, was Brad that unmemorable at McMinnville High School? He said no. He said Brad was just a good, hardworking kid that kept his nose clean.
And he was my coach my freshman year of high school, so that was a few years ago.
That was a few years ago. And so
I got a good story about Coach Migloretto, because I like right now I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina, giving a speech to the next couple of days to a couple different groups of CEOs, and I always use him in my stories. He doesn't know this, but I learned some incredible things that he was so dialed into so long ago that everybody thought he didn't know what he was doing, and he was a freaking genius.
Yes.
And it was this. He used to say when things would go wrong, he would scream out, "God bless it." I remember asking him, I'm like, "Coach, why is it when things go bad, you scream out, 'God bless it'? Everyone else is saying, 'God damn it.'" And he looks at me and he goes, "It's simple. Situation's already damned. I need God to bless it, not damn it more."
He still does that today.
He's so right on.
I
love it.
He is definitely, a class act. And,
I love that guy. One of my favorite coaches of all time.
Very underrated coach.
Yes.
And so Mig never got his proper due. And, he wanted the head coaching job at McMinnville High School for baseball so bad for a number of years. And for whatever reason, he got overlooked, and they always gave the job to another guy. He never fulfilled what he wanted to do at McMinnville High.
Yeah, it's a bummer, because from what I've learned about human psychology and mindset, and even just genetic disposition, Coach Mig, he understood human beings, and he understood how to get the most out of us. And a lot of times it's not about barking down people's throat and tearing them apart and trying to make them angry to do more. A lot of times it's about buffering the stress they're under in those high-stress situations to get the most out of them. And he was incredible at doing that, at least for me. I mean, at least for me. I would bend over backwards for that guy. Still to this day, if I had to choose one person to coach me, I would choose Coach Mig, to be in all honesty.
Yep.
So
would definitely run through a wall for him. In fact, I'm watching his dogs and his son Mike while they go up to a retreat this weekend. So.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So.
Yeah, Mike was like a couple years old. I remember him running around baseball practice my freshman year. He was a little guy back in the day. I see him on Facebook and I'm like, oh my God, he's a grown man.
He's not so little now.
No, not at all.
So here is my question. So how does a McMinnville, Oregon kid get to where you are now? And so I will let you explain on who you are. You are a co-founder of Stark, and I will let you explain that. And you are becoming a fitness guru, whether you like to admit that or not. I mean, I look at some of the people that you train. You've just written a book, the Stark Naked 21-day however you pronounce it, reset. And how does a kid from McMinnville get where you are?
Boy, it's been a crazy journey. It has not been easy, I'll tell you that much. I grew up in a household where taking risks was actually promoted. And so I grew up believing that I could take risks, and I always had this to fall back on. But I also kind of had this ego that I wouldn't do it. I remember I left McMinnville, I think it was 1998. I moved to Southern California. I had $1,500 in my pocket. For some reason, I thought that was enough money to be able to move to Southern California and establish myself. I look back, I don't know who was crazier, my parents for letting me do it or for me thinking I could do it. But I got down here, and I just had this dream that I wanted to be in the fitness world. And I came down here and I played college football in Huntington Beach. That was really fun. I got to play against some super studs. And then I got a job. It was funny. The last gym that I applied for in Southern California was the most prestigious gym. It was the one I was most nervous of. Every other gym down here turned me down. I couldn't even get a front desk job at a 24-hour fitness down here. It was awesome. I'll never forget those days. And I finally walk into this gym, and it's this 150,000 square foot gym, 6,000 members. All the richest people in Orange County went here to work out. And they made me take a test. The first thing I did was take a test, and I aced the test. And they looked at me like, how can you ace the test? And any of the credentials, any of the, the master's degree, any of that stuff. I'm like, well, this is my passion. I study it like crazy, and I've had to use it on myself as an athlete because I was a little guy. I was never an athletic phenom when I was younger.
Right.
So, it was a lot of self-education, and I ended up getting a job there, and that just kind of set me off. And then over the years, I just started meeting high-profile people, and I have a great benefit of coming from McMinnville, Oregon, where we're pretty stand-up people. We're hardworking. We do what's best for people, and I have that ingrained in me. And so I'm always looking out for the best interest of people, and over time, that's just been probably my greatest gift was where I grew up. And gosh, I remember I got referred. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden. Center fielder for the Cardinals when they won the World Series.
Jim Edmonds.
Jim Edmonds. Thank you. I got referred to him as a client. So he was my first big leaguer. Him. I remember Rob Nin, the closer.
Yeah.
So Rob Nin came in because he was thinking about trying to make a comeback, and so I got sort of those two guys to start. And I'm training these guys. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of at a point where I'm athletic enough that I can hang with these guys because I developed so much in my training protocols from where I was in high school. I got crazy, and I decided to go out for the U.S. bobsled team. And I actually ended up making the team in 2008. And nobody really knows about this because I didn't share a whole lot of it. But I put on like 54 pounds legally. I was running the equivalent of a 4.440. I had a 42-inch vertical jump. I just developed myself into a super freak. And I got to compete at the international level. And I retired after my little girl, but that experience gave me a crazy confidence and an insight to high-level sports that most people don't get. There's a big difference of what it takes when you're there and what you think it takes. And so having gone through the competition and seen it, I've been able to develop strategies and results with high-level athletes that are pretty uncommon. I'll give you one classic one right now. I'm working with a PGA golfer. His name is Brendan Steele. 3 years ago, before we started training, his average drive was, I think, 282. Right now, his average drive is 308.
Wow.
The guy gets drug tested more than any other golfer. It's ridiculous because they're just trying to figure out how he's cheating. If you watch Waste Management, he was the guy having the long drives they're comparing everybody to every day. And it's awesome. So it's just this different assumption. And so I mix my personality from McMinnville because it's just who we are with this drive to learn more and be more and try to provide the best we can to people. And just over time, the word has just spread. So it's really fun. I get to work with incredible people, some celebrities, all kinds of pro athletes. Right now I have possibly the first 2 picks of the NFL draft I'm working with coming up. It's been awesome. Lots of pro athletes from all the different sports. And I guess the coolest part is I just have this relationship with them. Like they're just buddies of mine from McMinnville.
You get to hand them, their butt every day in a workout, but yet you're that guy, that picks them up, and helps them wipe the sweat off their brow as well. And
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Stark. So from what I've seen, you have built something special, and people hear about Stark, they think of Iron Man and whatnot. And tell us about the beginnings of Stark and where it's at now.
Yeah, so I broke off the traditional gym world and started this company Stark out of my car. In 2004, I just started driving around to people's houses. I found a niche market in post-spinal care. So what I would do is I would take athletes after their back surgeries and their physical therapy, and I would integrate them back into their sporting world. And that picked up really fast. And so later in 2004, I opened up my first little gym, and then from there it's just grown into this. My gym now is right around 8,500 square feet. We call it the world's first ever 360-degree gym. So you hire a trainer, you get a team of specialists. So I have a doctor that oversees everything, chiropractors, nutritionists, trainers, program design experts from around the world are all working on people's stuff. It's awesome. So instead of one person trying to be everything for everyone, it's a team of experts working together to create a better outcome. And obviously I'm biased because I've been here since day one, but I think it's awesome.
Right.
I mean, it's everything I've ever dreamed of having as a person walking into a gym or a fitness facility to get the most out of what's available, and that's what we do for people. So the stories and the transformations and the comebacks, which is my favorite thing, is the comebacks in life are just amazing that we get to experience on a day in and day out basis.
And so now, there probably aren't many places like yours around the country.
To date, I don't know of any. I travel all over the U.S. and Canada speaking, and I've yet to meet anybody that has heard of a gym like ours. So I really believe it's one of the first in the world to have that. I mean, we're HIPAA compliant, so our doctors can speak with our trainers, and the chiropractors can jump in the mix. We're the first group I know of that's HIPAA compliant in this setup, where the whole team can communicate together and know what's going on with the person and working on the same common goal. To date, I've given close to 250 talks over the last 2.5 years, and I haven't met anybody that's heard of a gym like ours yet.
Do you ever just sit back, when the day is done, and just look at everything that has created from what you have started and just become overwhelmed? You are a trendsetter, and you're doing something that really nobody else has done. And so do you just ever get that wow factor and just sit back and holy crap?
Nobody's ever put it to me like that. I guess I probably need to stop and look back and enjoy it a little bit more than I do. I feel like I have so much left to do. I still feel like we're kind of at the beginning stages with what's possible. But I really do need to step back a little bit more and just enjoy it. And I'm excited. My wife and kids and I are going to come up to McMinnville for the month in July just to hang out, be with my family, kind of reconnect with all my old friends. It's probably the thing that I miss the most, that I struggle with a little bit. I'm just not as connected with my close group of friends from McMinnville that I should be.
Right.
And that's been I don't know if that trade-off has been worth it, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping to find some balance. But
it's life, and it happens.
Yeah.
And it's funny because working with the McMinnville Parks and Rec. So I've been with the Parks and Rec for 20 years now, and working down at the ball fields. You pop up in conversation that Katie Brewster and I have like many times. It is hilarious. She'll come in and she'll like, oh my gosh, did you see who Brad is working with now? And it's crazy because you're one of us. You're one of the, you're a McMinnville kid. And, even though you're not a kid anymore, you're from McMinnville. And and that's pretty cool, and to see where you are today, and the possibilities for Stark and you are endless. You've got a book out on the market, the Stark Naked 21-day Metabolic Reset. Tell us a little bit about your book and what the process of writing the book was like.
Yeah, that was intense. It was funny. So some of my clients are just these insane people in this world. And this one gentleman is named Tom Ferry. He's the top real estate coach in the world. And he sits me down one day and he's like, hey, so this was your dream, Stark. Like, what do you think? Like, was it everything you dreamed of? I'm like, it's really cool, but just something's missing. And he's like, yeah, you got to go bigger. He's like, you either need to do an infomercial. What do you want to do? I'm like, I'll explore them all. He's like, great. So he makes a phone call and calls a ghostwriter of his to help him write a book and introduces us. And she's like, hey, I'll tell you what. I have these issues going on. If you can fix me, I'll get you a book deal. I'm like, great. So I dialed this woman in. Her name is Laura Morton. She's insane. Has written the ghostwriter for some of the most amazing books on the market. And I dialed her in, and she's like, oh, okay, this works. I'm going to introduce you to my agent. So she introduced me to the top literary agent at WME out of New York. And he's like, great. He's like, well, my wife just survived breast cancer. She had all these issues. If you can fix her, I'll promise you a book deal. I'm like, okay. And so I get my hands on his wife, and I fix her. And so together, like, great. Well, now we're going to get you a book deal. And so they helped me put together a book proposal. They helped me kind of dial in my message, kind of what I do. And what I do with people is I get these high-achieving people that are just broke down. They're just wore out. They don't feel like they used to. Their strategies aren't working. And so all I did was I created an outline with the most common things I deal with and the fastest ways I know naturally how to turn those around. And I wrote them into this book. And then I had the luxury of testing it on over 1,000 people to make sure that it really worked. And it has been awesome. It's probably, I'm super proud of it because I've been able to take these ideas and whittle them down into a book where people are like, oh my gosh, it's like you're talking to me, and then to get incredible results. My aunt, who is a doctor that I have so much respect for, reached out to me the other day. She's like, I got to tell you, I love this book. Not because I'm your aunt, the doctor side of me loves this book. And so it's been really cool. But it was an absolute grind. I remember I was about 3/4 of the way done with the book, and I was toast. I was done, super frustrated, didn't want to do it anymore. And I went to a retreat with this company called Driven for Life. It's a leadership retreat that just helps you kind of dig deeper and find more. And boy, had I not done that, I don't know if I would have finished the book. I owe a lot to that couple, Eric and Mary McGrath, to help me dial that in because that was big. So the point of the story is when you go big, you got to find a support system around you that's going to push you to keep going because it's incredibly hard.
Right.
But the aftermath is really fun and exciting, and just every day I get messages from old friends and people I don't know from around the world who've done the program and feel so much better. And that to me is the ultimate, is to know that I'm impacting people's lives, changing the trajectory of their lives through the little bit of knowledge I've gained over the years. That's my home run every day in life right now.
So growing up here in McMinnville, who were your inspirations? You talked about Mig a little bit. And,
yeah.
Who inspired you to become who you are today?
Yeah, wow. First and foremost, my parents, they were awesome. I got lucky. I got a lucky set of cards there. Just really supportive parents that worked their asses off to help me, give me the foundation I had to be able to do what I wanted to do. So it started with there. Do you remember Coach Kaiser? He was the basketball coach, Boyd Kaiser.
Yep.
My sophomore year of high school, I remember it was after the last varsity game of the season in basketball. I was a sophomore, skinny little kid. He was really ticked off because, we just weren't a very good team back then. And in the locker room, he just looked at me and he's like, Davidson, because I know you, and I know by next season you're going to be so freaking strong that not a person in the state will be able to take the basketball away from you. I expect nothing less from you than that. And walked out. And I was like, oh, I guess I should probably figure out how to lift some weight. So that was a big turning point for me. Coach Rutschman was big. He always saw so much more in me than I saw in myself. Love that guy for that. And Coach and Cahill, same way in football and baseball. Those two guys really saw more in me than I ever saw in myself. And then last was, remember Scott Klug, Coach Klug?
Yep.
He was another guy. I remember one time we were in a conversation with a team, and I remember him said something like, and Davidson, I expect to be watching you play Division I college baseball sometime. So just these people instilling these messages in me that I was more than I thought I was. Those are the ones that jump out at me from back of the day.
That's pretty awesome.
Coach Klug reached out to me out of the blue on Facebook, and he's doing the 21-day reset. I was pretty stoked on that. That was a pretty cool conversation.
I was reading some of the comments on the Facebook page and for the book, and you're changing people's lives. You wrote a book, and people are taking the step to do your program, to do the reset, but yet what you're doing is a great thing, and it's kind of cool that a McMinnville native is doing big things, and there's plenty of McMinnville who have done big things. Don't get me wrong, but you're a trendsetter in the fitness world, and you're kind of redoing it a little bit the way that it used to be done.
Yeah, and the reason being is mostly because of my kind of this crazy drive I have inside. It almost killed me. I mean, after I retired from boxing, I had my little girl. I hit rock bottom. I just pushed too hard, too long, and all of a sudden I couldn't get out of bed. I remember my doctor looking at me and saying, "Oh my God, you have the testosterone levels of an 85-year-old sick man. What have you done to yourself?" And that's when I realized, all the messaging out there and the ideas out there when taken to the extreme can be horrible for you. And so a lot of the message that I give and the program that I use is just to help people come back from that extreme burnout, or prevent from going there if they're a highly driven person. And so, because of that, I get to work with some cool people, and I guess I get to have a little bit of impact on changing the thought processes and the programming people use to get the results they're going after.
So is the 21-day metabolic reset, is that for anyone? I mean, a person like myself, 5'9", and I go about 270. I mean, how would that work with somebody like me? I live pretty, I would say I'm fairly active. I'm not overly active, but how would that work for me? I know I got to put the work in, but.
Yeah, it's as long as you're not like in a disease state, if you're not on a bunch of medications and stuff like that. I mean, you can be on blood pressure meds or blood sugar meds. This will help all that. But you just have to be a person like who you are. You're a go-getter. I watch you on Facebook. You're not some lazy person who doesn't do anything in life. So It's for those people that want more out of life. And watching you on Facebook, you're that person. So, yes, it would definitely work well for you. But people it won't work well for are lazy people who aren't very motivated, who don't want to put much effort in. They just want an easy, quick response. This is tough, and I'm very open and honest with it. The first 3 to 5 days of this program, as we're healing up the body, it kind of sucks. I make people come off coffee and alcohol and sugar, and I make them sleep more. And boy, when you do that, it really starts to create almost a withdrawal response, a detoxification response. You got to be pretty committed and really want to take your life to the next level to get through it. So if you're not that person, I say don't even try.
Right.
But if you want more out of life, you want more energy, you want clear thinking, you want to look a little bit better, you want to sleep better, you want to get more done in the day, then I know you're willing to push through that stuff, because we all know nothing good comes easy.
That's true. All right, so hey, let's change speeds a little bit. So you are a huge Chicago Cubs fan.
Yes, I am.
And they made it to the National League Championship Series.
No,
I'm excited for the 2016 baseball season. I think baseball is in a better place with the Cubs being good, with the Mets being good, and it's not your same ponies, it's not the Yankees. Sorry, Mig, but it's not the Yankees and your Red Sox and whatnot. And you have worked with a couple of ball players, and that's got to be pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've never worked with a guy on the Cubs yet.
Really?
This year, I still haven't got a Cubby in my gym yet. But this year I have Aaron Hicks, who just got traded to the Yankees. He's going to be one of their center fielders. He's awesome.
He's a stud, yes.
And, yeah, he's a stud. And then Matt Duffy from the Giants. They actually scare me. This kid is – wait till you see him this year. He's a monster. He's about 15 pounds heavier than he was when he showed up. This kid is going to rake. And their pitching staff has really strengthened themselves up a bit. The Giants make me nervous, I'm not going to lie, this year. It hasn't even started, but they make me nervous.
Even year.
Yeah, even year, exactly.
Yep.
But yeah, Matt Duffy, probably one of the most stand-up guys I've ever worked with. He's kind of goofy and super cool and, really cares about people. And so, I love him. I told him, hey, look, I'll cheer for your Giants until you play my Cubs. But
that's awesome.
when you play my Cubs, you're the enemy, dude.
Yeah, I got to know Duff Man when he was the Salem Kaiser Volcano, and so he's one of those hard-working grinder guys. And I saw a picture of him here a couple of days ago in the gym, and you're absolutely right. That guy is yoked. He has put on some, and he raked last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. And I love the Giants. Their strength training department, their doctors, they actually came to Stark and worked with us for a couple days with him. So we developed a great relationship with him. That was super cool to have a strength training staff and a training staff be so open-minded and willing to work with us versus these egos that are so involved in those realms. They are such super cool people.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So, who's your favorite Cubby?
Oh boy, my favorite Cubby. Oh, it's Chris Bryant for sure. I love that guy. So.
Now, how cool would it be to work with him?
Oh, that would be my dream gig right there.
And
that would be my dream gig.
The Cubbies are so loaded. It's an even year, and the game is it's getting tougher. I look at the Giants and, in that National League West, you got the Diamondbacks are going to be strong and the Dodgers, of course. And golly, that's going to be a tough division to come out of. But the Cubs in that National League Central, they have to be hands-on favored to come out of that division. And man, they're strong. They got pitching, they can hit, and maybe this is year that the curse is broken.
Boy, I've been a fan since I was a little kid. My brother, my family, all attest to it. WGN every summer. I watched every game when I was a kid. It was cute. Hey, McMinnville back in the day, it was you're either a Cubs fan or a Braves fan.
Yep.
And I've never broke, so I deserve it. If they win it, I get to cherish it. And I definitely didn't jump on the bandwagon late.
So growing up, who was your favorite Cubbies growing up? Who did you like to watch?
I was an Andre Dawson, Ryan Sandberg guy. I liked Rick Sutcliffe too, but right. Andre Dawson and Ryan Sandberg were my two favorites growing up.
And today you got Chris Bryant, and so let's chat a little bit about. I want to know a little bit about Aaron Hicks. I've never met Aaron, but I've heard nothing but good things of him. And of course, Aaron Hicks was with the Twins, and he traded to the Yankees. And what kind of kid is he? And is he a hard worker? Is he everything I've heard about him, he's a hard-working kid.
Yeah, what's fun is that if you come back for a second workout with me, you're a hard-working person. The first workout, remember Gary Matthews Jr.?
Yep.
never forget, he decided he wanted to make a comeback after a year off from the Angels, and he came in to train with me, and I had heard this guy was lazy and didn't want to work very hard. I pummel these guys the first workout. They're puking in the bathroom because I know if they're really committed and they want it, they'll show up the next day. And so Gary showed up the next day, and he'll tell everybody to stay. Like, that day, I knew this was my place, this was my guy when I pushed him that hard. And so that's why I push Aaron Hicks. That's why I push Matt Duff. That's why I push all athletes. They usually spend time in the toilet. We have a special shirt that says F Fowler, and it has a guy puking in the bucket. Yep. They've all earned those shirts. They're hard working. They want it. And Aaron Hicks this year is just at a whole other level. My gosh, the Yankees just put a picture of him on their Instagram, him doing some single arm rows. He's getting it this year. I'm super excited for him because he's getting harder this year than he ever had. Doesn't miss workout. Something special is going to show up for him this year, and he's super talented. The kid has athleticism like I've never seen. Right. So, man, we go out and play golf sometimes, and this kid hits a golf ball a million miles. He's a super freak. I'm really excited. I was really excited to hear that he got traded to the Yankees. He actually got the call in the gym, and it's super funny because he just bought a huge pickup truck. You know, in Minnesota, it's great. In downtown New York, he's going to have to leave it at home. He was like, I just want this huge pickup truck. I'm not going to be able to take it. There's no way you're driving that around Manhattan.
Do you find sometimes, you know, with the people that you work with, do you find sometimes you just step back and you're like, oh, my gosh, I am here in the gym working with blank. You just take back and just soak it in, and it just... You know, you get the wide eyes.
I had that experience one time. You know what? The first time I met Jim Edmonds, I felt like that. You know, he was a real big name guy. I remember he was the first athlete that ever did an eval on. I was in a little bit of shock at that point. But the other time it happened to me, I had NFL films in my gym, and they were doing a video on a bunch of guys I was training. Sam Baker. Mm-hmm. Ryan Khalil from the Carolina Panthers, Luke Keckley from the Carolina Panthers, and Matt Khalil from the Minnesota Vikings. And then I also had Blake Bortles and Latavius Murray. So I just had this gym full of these powerhouse, all-star NFL football players. And I had NFL film in there doing a video with it. That day I was just like, this is unreal. I mean, this is unreal. That was a day where things felt pretty special.
Mm-hmm. You know, I had one of those moments this morning. You know, I get an interview. You know, a bunch of different guys with Clubhouse Chatter, and Clubhouse Chatter for me is a hobby. It is a passion of mine. You know, I don't get paid. You know, nor I don't know. I don't know if I would want to get paid. This is just something I love to do, and so I get to talk with all kinds of former ball players and whatnot, people like yourself. But I had comedian Jim Brewer on this morning. And, you know, I don't know if you know who Jim Brewer is, but Comedy Central named him one of the top 100 stand-up comedians of all time. And, you know, here I am, you know, Norm Ordez, you know, from McMinnville, Oregon, talking to Jim Brewer. You know, this guy could just totally screw you and not even come on the show. But he was like... one of the most humblest interviews I've ever done. And, so cool. You know, it was like, okay, wow, I got this, you know, big star comedian, you know, been on Saturday Night Live, is a big New York Mets honk. And, you know, it was like talking to you or just talking to Mig. It was just talking to another one of the guys.
Yeah. There's so many cool, high-profile people in this world. I mean, there are your douchebags and your high-maintenance ones, but there are so many like that just it's like, oh my gosh, like you're just kind of one of the guys. Like you're super cool, and that's awesome. I love it when you get to meet those kind of people and have that kind of experience. It's really cool.
So let's end it on this. So, what was the best piece of advice that was ever given to you?
Cool. Oh, boy. Wow. That's a hard one. So I think the best piece of advice, I don't even remember who gave it to me. It got me to this point, and I actually gave it away as a gift to one of my young athletes I was working with. It was this picture of a torn up baseball. And underneath of it said, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I really put that into play in my life. And I think it's gotten me to this point where I'm at. Now, at this point, now I'm kind of trying to balance out a little bit more and, find a happy medium, like what's enough. Where's my family time? Where's my friends' time? But that piece of advice really separated me from everyone else that I was working with, that I was competing against. Was I knew that I could outwork anybody, and that's what got me to this point. I think.
Okay.
I recently gave that old picture to one of my young. This guy reminded me of myself. He's a sophomore in high school. He's kind of skinny. He's super dedicated, but you're just gonna have to work twice as hard as everyone else to make it. And I like those kind of kids. So I recently gave it away.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's talk about your music selection. So let's your playlist in your gym. So give me 5 songs that absolutely have to be on your playlist in the gym.
No, wait a minute. Is it when I get to the radio first? When I get to the playlist
Sure,
first?
absolutely. So Brad Davidson's go-to 5 in the gym.
Oh, it's okay. So it's definitely Van Halen Jump.
Yep.
Oh gosh. I'm corny, but I'm a huge fan of Rocky music. So there's always gonna be some Rocky music going. Hang on 1 second. Let me pull it up, and I'll tell you right now. Country Boy by Alan Jackson. I love that song. Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Pat Benatar, yep.
Yeah. And, there's one more. Let me find it. This one gets me super fired up. Oh, The Warrior. That would be my last one. The Warrior by Patti Smith. The reason I like that so much, I remember when I was a kid, my cousin Brian Rudin, we had this highlight video of VHS of the NBA basketball players, and Charles Barkley, that was his song and his part of the video when they showed all his highlights, and I fell in love with that song.
That is funny.
Yeah.
That is
and then the
funny.
last one, it's not from the 80s, but it's called My Body by Young the Giant.
Yep.
I love that song as well.
That's a question I used to ask. It was one of my go-to questions. Actually, I haven't asked that in a while, but it's funny the different music that you get. I think my five would be Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider has got to be on there.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm a dork, and so Barbie Girl by Aqua, which I know it's not a classic, but for me, if I was a baseball player and I was a hitter, that probably could be my walk-up song.
I always said mine would be the Dukes of Hazzard theme song.
That's pretty funny. And so, I think you have to have a little bit of, for me, you got to have a little bit of Chris Ledoux in there. Go some old school country. And then, being from McMinnville, well, I've been here 30 years, so I guess I could say I'm from McMinnville now. Maybe some Quarter Flash, Harden My Heart. Kind of keeping it local there. And,
I love it.
So yeah. So once again, we have Brad Davidson. Brad, man, we got to do this again.
For sure. This was awesome. I love it. You're the first person from back home that's ever interviewed me or wanted to talk to me, so I'm just super appreciative and super honored that you took the time to do this. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm definitely a big fan of yours. I love in what you're doing. Keep
Appreciate
working hard and change the world, man. I mean, you've got what it takes, and you're doing great things, and you definitely make McMinnville proud. And so,
thank you, appreciate it.
I know that there's a handful of people, that are listening from McMinnville that send their love and say hi. And hey, when you're in town, you're ever in town, give me a shout and let's get together and let's do a live show.
For sure, we're gonna be out there in July. We're coming out there for the whole month. So
sounds good.
Already booked and planned. And tell Katie Brewster to tell her family hi from me. Her dad was my Little League coach.
Yes.
Playing with Brian and Eric, and those people are awesome. So definitely tell her hi for me.
She's got a little baby, don't you?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Josie, I think Josie's like maybe almost 3 now.
Oh, wow.
And so she's married and doing well, and her and her wife had a baby, and yeah, and she's a spitting image of Katie, which is scarier than hell. Because
so cool.
If you remember Katie playing baseball, she was a terror.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
All right, Brad. Hey, like I said, let's do this again, and let's chat offline and whatnot here in another day or two. Let's get you through North Carolina, and when you get back to California, let's talk about doing a possible couple of giveaways through Clubhouse Chatter.
Oh, that would be great. I'll definitely reach out to you. That'd be really fun.
All right, sounds good, Brad. Enjoy North Carolina, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, once again, Mr. Brad Davidson of Stark. And so check out the Stark Naked 21-day Metabolic Reset. Sounds like a pretty cool deal. I'm gonna buy a book and check it out. Maybe it'll help me out. And so producer Brian has left the building, and he had to take Maya, the Clubhouse Chatter dog, into the house. And so I'm Norm, and obviously Brian is gone, and that is Clubhouse Chatter for the week. I think we're going to take next Tuesday off. Next Tuesday is my dad's birthday. For those who know me, my dad passed away back in March, and so I'm going to be celebrating Dad's birthday with my mom and sister. So there is a possibility that we don't do a show, but I'll definitely let you know. Make sure you check us out. MLBblogs.com, MLB.com blogs, Clubhouse Chatter. We're number 44 in top 50 now. And you can find us on YouTube, iTunes, and we are sponsored by Baseballisms.com. If you like my hat, Baseballism.com. It's their Jackie Robinson tribute hat. Also sponsored by BaseballDudes.com. To be the best, you must train like the best. And there's Baseball Dudes hat right there. Base by Pros, Mitch Canham up there in Washington. Mitch Canham will be the skipper for the Clinton Lumber Kings this year. So exciting things going on in the Canham household. So check them out, basebypros.com. MDM Designs, Mark Canham, his dad, does our shirts and sweatshirts for us. If you guys want to buy them, they're fairly cheap. You can email me at normbo18@gmail.com. And we're also looking for sponsors for the show. So, we got a couple of different options for you. Shoot me an email, normbo18@gmail.com. We'd love to put your ad up, and you would get like a little ad on the up on the thing, like where Yamhill Today is, and we do stream live in yamhilltoday.com every week. And so I'm Norm, and this is Clubhouse Chatter. Thanks for listening, and have a good week.